welcome to the Metapod Podcast, the Pokemon podcast that revolves around the evolving meta. And Sean and I do think about sports from time to time. You just mentioned how I was wearing my Bears jersey. They're playing Monday Night Football tonight after we record this, and I edited it. I'm going to hang out with a friend who's a Patriots fan to watch the Bears lose.
I mean,
because that's probably what's going to happen.
Aren't
Sean,
both,
how are you doing?
I'm good. Aren't both teams bad? Isn't it anybody's
yeah, but like
game
the Bears
to lose?
are like the Bears are like a special kind of bad. You know,
I guess.
there's like bad, and then there's like the Bears. But I mean, I love them. I like bad teams just as much as good teams.
I will say, like, I'm a Cowboys fan, and the offense is absolute doo-doo right now. We only managed to score 24 points on the worst defense in the NFL, but our defense, all the listeners out there who don't care about sports are like, exit podcast now. But
God, just not Pokemon cards.
Yeah. Anyways,
we got a lot of great stuff to talk to you today about the Pokemon trading card game. Both stuff that is coming in the future and stuff that has happened right now. But first, Sean, we got to talk about some things right now. It is the 5-star review, which is kind of not necessarily a 5-star review this week.
Is it a 5-star comment?
It's a wonderful fun fact. So I won't name this person because, I mean, I don't want to dox him or anything like that. But somebody had messaged me over the weekend, a listener of the podcast, said they love the podcast, found us through the podcast. And they also wanted to know that they have the same job as me, but at a different university. Because we talk on the pod about how, my job's hectic. It's crazy right now. We just had homecoming and stuff. And they just want to say like, hey, I know how you feel. And I was like, you know what? Shout outs to you, because there's at least one person there that knows how tired I am.
That is awesome. Weirdly enough, Jake, I have a number of people in my life who are in the sports broadcasting world. I have like two friends from high school that deal with like, one of them I think does like broadcasting and media stuff for like their high school sports teams in Texas. And then the other one is like, a person that does some college and other games on like ESPN. So I'm like, it's weird. I feel like it's not a common enough job that I should know 3 people in the industry.
It's like, but there's like, if you want to, I mean, we joked about how we were a sports podcast and now we're back to sports, but if you want to work in sports, there's a job for you, especially college sports. College sports is always looking for people, I feel like, in my opinion. You just got to figure out, what you kind of want to do. But if you have any tips you want on that, you want to get into sports, just send me a DM on Twitter @AtrociousJake. But anyways, we're going to talk about Pokemon cards because that is what this podcast is about, believe it or not. And Sean, there are some exciting things coming, including the first set of Scarlet and Violet. It's officially been announced for Japan. Scarlet EX, Violet EX, Triple Beat are kind of the first sets of this expansion, Sean, releasing on January 20th in Japan. So the first sets will be called Scarlet EX and Violet EX. Remember that the Scarlet and Violet era is going to bring back the EX mechanic. And there will be an expansion pack set. I guess
in Japan.
Yes, in Japan. There will be a smaller expansion set, kind of like how Pokemon Go was and things like that. And it's going to be called Triple Beat.
I mean, I will be, whatever. The names are like totally make sense because like you think back, the Sun and Moon set started with Sun and Moon, Black and White with Black and White, Sword and Shield with Sword and Shield.
It's the base set pack,
right? Exactly.
It's the base set packs of the era, and they've done these kind of other ones as well, where you have like 2 sets kind of to like a set. They've done this many times. Like they did that with the Battle Region? What was it? It was the battle styles in Japan. Where they broke up Rapid Strike and Single Strike.
Yep.
It's kind of that same concept almost, I think. So,
I was watching a really interesting video about how the Pokemon model of splitting your content up into 2 games so that you can try to either double dip or create a community or whatever. I feel like Pokemon is one of the only franchises that's been able to like maintain selling effectively the same product twice.
Well, what
In all
other
formats.
franchises have done that? Like, did Digimon do that? Did
I'm
what other company could have done that? Like,
you know, I think it was the Jaywitz. I don't know if you've watched any of his YouTube videos, but former Pokemon person as well, who now has a family and does many things outside of Pokemon. But he made a video about this sort of dual release thing, and yeah, for a window of time, I don't think it was not just Pokemon. It was a lot of games. I can't remember them, but there was a window of like all these franchises competing, trying to compete with Pokemon by double dipping, basically. But it never really panned out for them.
and Pokemon is now one of the biggest franchises in the world. So that's how that goes in this PokeBeach article that we're referring to in terms of Scarlet EX, Violet EX, Triple B. It also goes over a lot of the upcoming products that will be coming out in Japan with the release of these sets, including like starter decks, starter sets, you know, in that past premium trainer boxes, things of that nature. So although we don't know exactly what's going to be in those when those release in January, if you remember I think it was Worlds, they kind of showcased the EX stuff, you know, showing the I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Koraidon and Miraidon cards, the EX cards, the Magnezone, Lucario, Mimikyu, the Terrastal.
Whatever, Terrestrial, whatever that mechanic is. Basically,
the special thing.
Yeah, Crystal.
The gimmick.
The return of Crystal Pokemon. Let's just call it that.
The gimmick mechanic of the generation. We don't have any more necessarily information about a lot of those things, but it will be coming soon because, Sean, well, November is just right around the corner, but a lot of cool things that are coming up in this, but Sean, what else?
Well,
what else?
I mean, there's like every time they launch a new base set, effectively, because this will also accompany rotation here in the U.S.
Yes.
And every part of the world, really, is they'll typically come out with a set of starter decks that feature, like, it'll probably be our League Battle decks, is what they'll do, is my guess. They'll keep the League Battle deck mechanic, like system, and they'll just feature, they said in this one, it'll be Sprigatito and Lucario, Fuecoco and Ampharos, or Quaxley and Mimikyu. What's really interesting to me, Jake, in this is that they are making starter decks that are pairing pairing two Pokemon that are not the same type in the starter deck.
Yes, because if you do not remember, Sprigatito is a grass starter, Lucario fighting, Fuecoco fire, Ampharos, etc., etc. So you're right about that, yeah. And I mean, if you look in the past, such as the Sword and Shield starter set Vs that came out in 2019, if you're watching this on YouTube and Spotify, the video version, you'll be able to see this. You know, they paired the Grookey with the Celebi. They paired the Scorbunny to the Victini, the Sobble to the Keldeo. You know, they paired the same exact types. And even in the Sun and Moon starter sets, you know, they had the entire evolution line with the GXs on those. So it's a little bit different from the norm. And I kind of like that because, I mean, Pokemon, especially the latest formats, I'm not 100% sure about Japan, but I know for us at least in the United States and the rest of the world, the format has kind of dove into multiple energy types and things like that. So very, very cool. Not great for your GLC people.
No. Yeah,
but interesting move.
Yeah, that's just something I was reading this out loud and it caught my eye. I'm like, huh. Now we don't know if that's going to be Quaxley and the entire evolution line. Like, you know, we don't really know yet. I don't think do we know what the evolution line is yet for Scarlet and Violet?
No, we have not been revealed what the evolved starters are. I don't even think there's been leaks yet of those, but I would assume those leaks will start popping up here very soon because the games are coming out in like a month.
Yeah. Well, interesting. It's just, these are interesting pairings. And so like that may give us small hints as to like how they're trying to define the EX era as being maybe distinct from other eras. It's like, yes, you're going to have the terrestrial effect, but you
Yeah,
know.
because the terrestrial effect, I believe they said, can change a Pokemon's typing. Because
Yes.
in the video game, at least, and I think this is all speculation in terms of the card game right now, but in the video game, the Pikachu, when it's terrestrial, the whatever, I believe it turns into a flying type because the terrestrial is like, it's got the balloons with it. So it's like flying Pikachu. I'm pretty sure it gains a flying type. So or at least I have predicted that the terrestrial EX Pokemon will be a different typing than what they usually are, kind of like how Delta species was way back in the day.
Yes, that is a great call out. I think that might be why they're trying to pair, and that might actually tell us that maybe the Mimikyu EX, who knows, but maybe Mimikyu EX will have a terrestrial form that will make it a water type Mimikyu, and Ampharos will have a fire type, and who knows? Who knows, Jake?
Or it could even be the other way. So like Sprigatito's final evolution, the stage 2, when it gets a terrestrial. Yeah, it's a fighting type, which would be really funny because everybody is speculating that Sprigatito is going to turn into a 2-legged creature, just like every other cat lately in the Pokemon generations.
Yeah.
And people are mad about that if that happens.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so you're going to get these starter decks, which are going to be interesting. There's going to be, at least in Japan, some sort of premium trainer box. We don't get these kinds of products over here in America, these types of premium trainer boxes. We usually get this type of product in the form of our, yearly... what are they called here? The ones that you and I love every year?
Premium collections.
Yeah, or the ones that are the trainer toolkits.
Oh, yeah. Trainer toolkits. Yes, those are awesome.
Yeah, so their premium trainer boxes are more like our trainer toolkits where you get a bunch of staples and whatever. So unlikely to get that here outside of Japan, but, another aspect. So basically all we know is that, a curious fact to point out, the Scarlet EX and Violet EX sets release on the same day as our special Sword and Shield set for the International. January 20th. So we probably won't see the Scarlet and Violet stuff here until maybe March.
Yeah, that's what I would say as well.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait a little longer.
Yeah. But, we can sit here and wait. And soon, Sean, you won't have to wait long to get some beautiful, cute little starter Pokemon in the Paldea region. The preview boxes that were announced back in September have been revealed as the Paldea collections. Each collection will come with 3 promos of Sprigatito, Fuecoco, and Quaxley, a jumbo card of Koraidon EX or Miraidon EX. Those are the legendaries, if you don't know what I'm pronouncing. A pin of one of the starters, 4 booster packs, and a code card releasing on January 6th. They will retail for $20 each. And they've had these in the past, if you remember, in the Galar collections that Sean is showing on screen. So it's basically what it looks like. It's probably not going to be, 4 packs of the latest set. It'll probably be a mixture of different packs, which is whatever. I mean, they've been really good lately in boxes about giving recent sets. Yeah. Not necessarily Steam Siege. They're not doing those anymore. But in my opinion, Sean, these boxes are some of the better deals, I feel like, in the collection boxes for Pokemon stuff, because you get 3 promos, right? And it's promos of the starters. You get all 3 of them. You get a pin, right, of the starter that you buy the box for, a jumbo card, and you get 4 packs. The 4 packs itself are $16, right? And then you get 3 promos, a jumbo card, and a pin. So it's in my opinion, it's one of the better deals, these boxes. And Sprigatito is adorable.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what it is like. I mean, for me personally, I think these are really great promotional things where you're basically promoting the new game that's coming out so that the people who are into the TCG can get excited about the new game. And yeah, the pins will be cool. If you want to show off, if you have a pin collection, you want to show off the newest Pokemon from the game, this is going to be the first place probably to get those types of pins. So yeah, if you're a pin collector, this is amazing. So
Yeah, and I mean, like, the pins are super high quality too.
Yes.
Like, if you're not a pin collector, but maybe, you want to check them out. I have plenty of Pokemon pins. I wouldn't consider myself a pin collector, but when I've bought a box, I've kept the pin because they're such nice quality. Even though, like, the Galar ones that were the gyms.
Yeah.
So it's just like
yes.
the fighting gym badge. When they were the gym badges, even though it's not like a specific Pokemon or anything, like, still a pretty nice pin in my opinion.
Yes, that one I have as well. I have all the gym badges and like just also growing up as a kid watching the anime and being like, oh,
Yeah,
I
like
just
you
want to
get
collect
your
the gym
badges and
yeah,
it's a really cool feature that they did. And so excited for these. I'll probably honestly get a Sprigatito one. Maybe try to buy the other pins as well. I'm more curious about the pins than anything else.
It's fair.
Because they do, even though they don't show the promos in the preview pictures that we're seeing here on Poke Beach, they do show the pins, and all three of them look incredibly adorable. So I might try to get them.
All right, Jake, one last news segment for today is the release of the Silver Tempest pre-release promos. Jake, did you realize that we're close enough to the Silver Tempest set release that we already are getting pre-release promos for this?
I'm going to be honest. I've been so busy with work. I had forgotten that Silver Tempest releases in less than a month, November 11th. They'll be tournament legal on November 25th. So at the time that this episode releases, it'll be a little less than a month for when it becomes tournament legal. But yeah, pre-releases right around the corner. I think, is it 2 weeks before
2 weeks.
the set releases?
Yeah, starting not the first weekend before the set releases, but the weekend before that. So that would be, this coming weekend, maybe?
A lot of math, not very smart.
Yeah,
I think it's this coming weekend.
Might be. You might get some Halloween pre-releases. So dress up in your favorite, Sprigatito or whatever.
Yeah, dress up as your favorite Pokemon to your pre-release. That would actually be really cool if any like organizers or whatever, or people that run card shops want to do that. I think that'd be kind of a fun event.
It would.
Maybe give like an extra prize to the person with the coolest costume.
Yeah.
Things like that. That would be really, really sweet. But we don't know the actual like promo images of the pre-release cards, but we do know what the cards are. So what I mean by that is the writing on the cards, the effects, the attacks, the HP, things like that. Just the art is different with the stamp and whatnot. But Sean, let's go over these. First, the Sunflora. I think all these are actually pretty interesting in their own way. This 90 HP grass Pokemon, it's a stage 1 evolving from Sunkern, has a 2 colorless attack, Brilliant Beam. 10 plus damage. You may discard up to 3 energy cards from your hand. This attack does 70 more damage from each card discarded in this way. So you could do 220 damage max without any sort of modifiers or anything like that, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, this is a cool, basically, like, this is a V-Buster for pre-releases. Because, like, well, you think about it, right? Like, a lot of pre-releases, somebody pulls, like, a usable V or 1 or 2 usable Vs, and all of a sudden,
even
like,
just 1 usable V, like, really just snowballs.
Yeah, and, like, you get that thing out, you start taking knockouts easily, and your opponents just, it sometimes can, like, snowball. And this is, like, a really good card to be like, okay, cool, 220 is about the damage you need to knock out any V. So it's just kind of like the perfect amount. So I don't see this being like a particularly useful card outside of that. It's like bad Blacephalon, but
I don't actually think it's too terrible because I see this as being something that's big on like weakness.
That's
right?
true.
So if you think about like Zorobox, right? I mean, all you got to do is just, or like the Thornton is the guy's name's Thornton.
Yeah.
You could just throw this Pokemon in there, and then all of a sudden you're whacking away. Or wait, does Thornton do basic Pokemon
it's only? Basic.
So is Zoroark. My bad. But Zoroark, okay, not as good as I thought. But anyways, I still think it could be a little bit cheeky. But I don't even know if it's better than the grass Wormadam in a deck like that.
Yeah, but I think, again, for pre-release purposes, I think that's one of the issues you always have is like, if somebody puts a big V out there, do you actually have a way to deal with it quickly? And this is a really clever solution, I think, of like, it seems like, it seems like somebody designed a card that is like, this actually might have been designed with pre-release in mind. And I kind of like that because I don't know if they do pre-releases in Japan, but at least in the US.
I don't think
West.
they do, to be honest. I don't think they do. But Sean, let's go over the next one. This one's Rapidash, 100 HP fire Pokemon, stage 1, evolving from Ponyta. It's got an ability called Heat Boost. Once during your turn, you may discard a fire energy from your hand. If you do, until the end of your turn, attacks of your fire Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Very cool. It's something like Training Court in the format, right?
Or Magma Basin.
Magma Basin as well is very, very cool with this in combination. And with a Pokemon like Charizard, right? The Shining Charizard. Is it Brilliant Charizard?
No, Shining Charizard.
The Charizard card that's really cool. And
Radiant.
Radiant. Yes, that's the word. I've had a long day of work. Radiant Charizard. Right, being a fire Pokemon, usually you use a damage modifier with it, the choice bell and stuff. It would be interesting if somebody tried to fit at least one Rapidash in there to be able to utilize, the 30 more damage boost. So
it's perfect math. You go from 250 to 280. That knocks out any V-Star. Check. You throw a choice belt on there, that's 310. That knocks out Mew
definitely
VMAX.
knocks out every V-Star.
Well, and it also knocks out Mew VMAX, which is an important.
Yes.
So, I think this one is actually, it seems like really good. This is not a full set review, but in terms of pre-release cards, this is the one I'm most excited about for, outside of a pre-release thus far.
But, Sean, read this Kirlia and let me know if you're excited about this.
Yeah, Kirlia, stage 1... Ability is refinement. You must discard a card from your hand in order to use this ability. Okay. Once during your turn, you may draw 2 cards. Okay.
Stage 1.
Sure.
80 HP. It's like trade. The Chinchino. Pretty doggone good. The Zoroark. Zoroark could attack. This Kirlia, you should never attack with this. Pretty doggone good for that Zoroark. And so, you know what? This Kirlia, another ability, Sean, with this effect, always pretty all right.
I know that there are some Gallades. Does the Gallade evolve from Kirlia?
Well, it could be...
Gallade or Gardevoir, right?
Yes, Gallade or Gardevoir. And there was a deck that was running around for a little bit, a nice little budget deck of the... I think it was a pre-release Gardevoir.
Okay, yeah.
Or no, it was a rare in the set that you could get through the pre-release kit.
What this card for me, I think it's honestly, I think this is kind of it's good draw engine in a pre-release deck, but you're probably only going to have 1, maybe 2 of these. So the odds of you getting a lot of them is minimal. But I actually think it's an interesting card to include access to a cool version of it, because maybe Pokemon suspects that Gardevoir and or Gallade, the 1 prizer ones, will be more viable if the middle evolution gets you value too. I don't know, because to your point, there have been some budget versions. There's a Gallade that deals damage, that can deal weakness damage on 2 different typings, because it's 2 different typings. So I don't know, maybe something there, but yeah.
Just keep something in the back of your mind, because the biggest thing about that deck specifically was just drawing.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't know if this one is better than the other Kirlia, which is it has a 1 energy attack and it's put 3 Kirlias from your deck on your bench.
That's probably...
So I don't know if it's better than that one, but being an 80 HP Pokemon, easy to level ball. I think it could be pretty. I don't know. I want to see someone do something crazy.
Now, Jake, what is this last one?
This is Archeops, stage 2 colorless Pokemon, 150 HP. It's one of the fossil Pokemon. So the basic is the fossil, and then you get the Archon as the stage 1, and then Archeops as stage 2. This ability is Primal Turbo. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 special energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon. Then shuffle your deck. It is worth noting, I'm pretty sure you can rare candy a fossil.
I don't know off the top of my head. Don't know.
Either way, I'm pretty sure you can, because I'm pretty sure with Gengar, Mimikyu, GX, Omastar. Do you remember that deck?
Yeah,
For a little bit?
You're probably right.
I'm pretty sure you would rare candy into Omastar, so you can rare candy into fossils. That's really, really cool of an ability. Search a deck for 2 special energy cards and attach them to one of your Pokemon. I like it.
Sure. I think this, I will say, this card is absolutely butt in pre-release. It's terrible.
Yeah, because you're never going to find it, and you're never going to evolve up to it.
And you're also never going to have enough special energy in your deck for this to matter. Because
probably.
You're not going to have that many in your kits. But I will say, if those of you out there are really psyched about Lugia V-Star, which we'll get to when we do our set review, this is a really good partner for Lugia V-Star's V-Star like ability thing. So just keep that in mind. If you pull this from your pack and it doesn't see much use in your pre-release, do not despair. I think it has a home if you are a Lugia fan. So
make sure you check out in a later episode. Subscribe to the podcast to be able to hear it. But don't go anywhere yet, because Sean, there was a regional tournament over the weekend. It was Lille,
yeah,
Lille.
France.
We have talked about this many a times, and I almost never get it right.
Yeah, but yeah, it's in France. Lots of the same decks that I think everybody was expecting. Big difference though. Like, so for those of you who are listening, we are looking at the top 8 results that are on Limitless, and big difference from the Salt Lake City regional in that we went from 4 Reggies in the top to 0 Reggies in the top. 8.
Everybody found the counter to Reggie, and of the 572 players, only one could top. And wouldn't you know it, Sean, it's Mew VMAX.
Yeah, Mew VMAX getting first here, and that was, I believe, Fabio. Let me click back real here. Yeah, Fabio.
Fabio Battistella. Probably said it wrong. Because they're from Italy.
So, yeah, I mean, this Mew VMAX deck, I think it's pretty straightforward. I will say opting for a couple of Marnies here. But I think the disruption that you get, and also knowing you have so much draw power on your own, it's not usually a big deal. And then outside of that, I don't think that there's not a lot different here with one exception.
I think the biggest difference is the stadium count in this list. The stadium count, although we've kind of seen all these stadiums in the Mew versions before, now we've combined them in a 4 stadium count: 2 Lost Cities, 1 Pokestop, and 1 Path to the Peak. And I think a big reason for this in terms of the stadium count isn't necessarily, because you just draw a lot. I think a lot of it has to do with like the Rotom phones and the Cram-O-Matics.
Yeah. You can find a lot of the items that you might need with all of those cards, like between Rotom phone, Cram-O-Matic, getting all the draw power off of Genesects. You don't really need that many Pokestops, and instead, like, you do, I think, need 4 stadiums, because if somebody throws down a very popular stadium, or a more popular stadium in this tournament, Temple of Sinnoh, which I think you and I talked about the other week. We also talked about Lost City, though, as being an underplayed stadium. And Mew VMAX is like, if you're up against these single prize decks that are going to try to recycle some of those single prizers, like they've only got 2 Sableyes in the deck, or 2 Crams, or whatever it might be. Or somebody throws a Drapion in, they get 1 sneaky knockout against a Mew VMAX. You could be like, okay, well, that Drapion's going away forever. Odds are you don't have a second one. So
exactly. And so that is a big reason why Mew was able to win this, just the aggression and being able to counter the different things that have come up. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's pretty much the same Mew list as that we've been seeing. There's an Oricorio there, Oricorio kind of coming back, blocking a little bit of the math for stuff like Regigigas, right? Regigigas needs I think Reggie. No, Reggie Gigas would still knock out a Mew VMAX even if Oricorio was in play, I believe, because that's 330.
Oh, well, okay.
And Reggie Gigas does 300, attach the thingamadoodah, the choice belt, and that's 330.
Yeah. Well, still forces them to find more pieces.
Yeah, and also with a Silene right in this list, Silene still being in here, you know, being able to put a lot of these resources back into your deck, you know, whether that's double turbos, lost cities, or path to the peaks, things like that, echoing horn, ultra ball, just all the more, again, just give you way more power in terms of being able to counter things and really just dominate.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of it's a pretty straightforward list. I will say I did watch a little bit of the top 4 match that Fabio, I think he played Nico, and it was wild. Fabio was able to, by the seat of his pants, by Nico, I think had like one slow turn, and Fabio had prized 3 of his double turbo energy to start the game. And I and a lot of people in chat were like, that doesn't seem like it's going to go well for Fabio. But he was able to hang on just long enough, take a couple of those prizes, and then find what he needed after that. But it was tough. But Jake, what is the next deck you want to talk about? I'm hovering over it.
So Jamie Franklin is the real MVP from Great Britain. Second place overall with a deck that obviously we all expected to do well in this tournament, and that is 100% sarcasm. Blissey v Milk Tank getting second place overall shot. It's been a while since we've looked at a Blissey V deck, and this one has a little bit of different things, I would say, than what we saw last time in Blissey. Of course, you've got your Radiant Greninja in the list because discarding the energies does really, really well for Blissey V's attack. You have Milk Tank in there to kind of stall because you're a little bit of a slower list, I would say. You've got a Dunsparce in there because there are still fighting type Pokemon, Cough Cough Reggie, right, that you don't want to one-hit KO you. And you also have a Manaphy because if you've got Milk Tanks and Dunsparces everywhere, you kind of want to protect them from something like a Moonlight Shuriken or any other attack that can just splash around bench damage left and right. But Sean, what do you think is the best part about this list?
I mean,
or I guess I should say, what's a difference from the last Blissey V decks that we used to see?
I mean, I don't honestly know in terms of a difference. Maybe, you know, was Lucky Energy being played in Blissey before?
I believe. Yes, I believe it was because it's when this Pokemon is hit from damage from your opponent's active Pokemon, you draw a card. I believe that was in there. I think personally, the new additions were stuff like Hyper Potion, Sharon's Care, and Team Yell Towel. A lot of this like negating the healing that was around because Blissey before, I believe, was a Pokemon that really just tried to stall out your opponent, just try to elongate the game, but make sure that you couldn't one-hit KO it. Yeah. Right? Putting Path to the Peaks in play, dealing a lot of Averys, things like that. Now we're starting to seeing the addition of healing, especially with the Team Yell Towel. I feel like that card definitely did not see a lot of play previously in Blissey decks, but being able to just heal everything off, you know, you got Zinnia's Resolve in there as well. So kind of surprised there's not 2 of these. Zinnia's Resolve, especially because you want to discard energies, but maybe you don't want to discard energies too much because with Blissey and its attack, if you're unaware what Blissey V's attack is, it is 1 colorless energy and it does 10 plus. This attack does 30 more damage for each energy card attached to this Pokemon. If you did any damage with this attack, you may attach up to 3 energy cards from your discard pile to this Pokemon. So it's a limitless amount of damage that you can stack onto this Blissey if you can keep it alive and attacking every single turn. So very, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think your point about Sharon's Care and the Hyper Potions, Yeah, like you can just hyper potion away a double turbo, hit, get it right back on there.
Yeah, I mean this
Yeah.
isn't the first time that we've seen that combo. We've talked about that combo many a times, just not exactly with this list.
Yeah, and I guess it's kind of taking a page out of Gudra's book in terms of
Mm-hmm.
like the hyper potion counts. I think some of the Gudra lists might have also been playing Team Yell Towels, I want to say, but yeah, like I don't know. It's a cool use of Sharon's Care for sure because like say you've got a Blissey with a ton of damage counters, but you've got another one in the back, and you can just pick that duder right up and it's fine. I don't know. I like it. It's a little I'm surprised that it got as far as it did. I'm not sure. Like, obviously, the Mill Tank can make certain matchups really good. Like, if they just don't have any single prizers and you're just like, throw a Mill Tank down, GG.
Well, yeah, I mean
But
that's what a lot of these like random decks do, and this is why I like closed formats so much, is because you get these like kind of random decks. Nobody thought about Milk Tank's been gone for a while. Nobody thought about Blissey because who's played Blissey? And so when you get a deck that nobody's expecting and you've got the sauce, you've got the absolute play, which this was the absolute play, I feel like you just go in and you win
yeah.
because nobody expects it.
No, that's fair. Yeah, like you're only giving up 2 prizes at most at a time. Yeah, it's an interesting deck. I haven't played it. I played against it, but like the other day, like a couple of weeks ago. But you know, strange. I would wonder how this would do against a Giratina deck, right? Where like Giratina is going to be able to take 1 free knockout.
I believe that I can't remember who said this. I'm pretty sure I saw this on Twitter. Somebody had said that they misplayed in top 8. I think it was the top 4 match.
Nico had a bad misplay. He drew 3
yeah,
off of Greninja.
I think Nico was the one who said, if only I didn't misplay and won the game, I would have had a free finals.
Because I will say, we can quickly jump over to Nico's list. The reason is Nico is playing the Temple of Sinnoh in his list as well, which...
Giratina V-Star, which you mentioned, can just knock out a Pokemon at will, no matter what health they have. And then you're right, Temple of Sinnoh in there.
Yep, you got Temple of Sinnoh. You have the Sableye to spread damage counters. You have Cramorant. So you have single prizers that can easily get through the Mill Tank, which, the Mill Tank, for those of you who may not know, only 110 HP. So Cramorant, kind of the perfect card. Giratina is going to do a ton of damage in the meanwhile, and it's going to be hard for them to heal off enough damage to keep pace. So, yeah, it's a weird, certainly a weird matchup. So I don't know if it's a free win, but I think it would definitely be tough. But who knows? I mean, he got second place, so clearly he knows what he's doing.
Clearly something was working, and I would imagine, even though we can't see, I imagine he probably got through some Giratinas on his way to a second place finish.
But yeah, I mean, as I was saying, Giratina getting third place, pretty standard list here. I think the main thing I wanted to call out from this list is the one of Thornton.
We like Thornton in this podcast.
We do. Last week, we were like, people should play it. It seems like a good card. And when asked on Twitter, Nico did say, good card. I don't think it's more than a one-up, but... And then Temple of Sinnoh, if Reggie is going to be killing it, right?
I'm telling you, Nico listens to the podcast. I'm sure that is not confirmed, but I hope he does. But anyways, it's just a cool combination of cards.
Yeah. And Jake, is there one more deck you want to round us off with? I mean, yeah, up to you.
I don't know if there's much in terms of the decks that are left that we haven't really talked about. I will say 4th place Owen Cameraman did have a Crabominable V in the deck. Crabominable V, always a cool card to see, especially if you get to use it. But no, I mean, the other decks aren't anything like super crazy. Giratina, Arceus, I've heard that a lot talked about the last couple weeks. Did we talk about that in a podcast? Giratina, Arceus?
I mean, I think we must have. That's the deck. I have that built. So
yeah, so if Sean's got it built, then
yeah.
everybody knows about it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what version of Giratina do you want to play? The Arceus build or the Lost Zone build? And I think there's merits to both of them. It really depends. I think the Lost Zone build you're going to have more single prizers. So I think there's a little more flexibility even if you have a little bit less consistency. So toss up.
It's whatever kind of mustard you like on your hot dog.
Yeah.
But Sean, what else do you want to talk about here before we end the pod for the day?
Well, I think for those listeners who we talked about Silver Tempest coming out in a few weeks here, also important to note, there's only one more large Pokemon tournament happening between now and when Silver Tempest is legal, and that's going to be in Warsaw. So for those of you in Europe, you have one more chance to play this format as it is in a big event. But
or go to Europe, if you want to travel out there.
You could. But for everybody outside of that region, that won't be attending the regional in Warsaw, this is it. Signed, sealed, delivered on the Lost Origin format.
And if you didn't know about the team challenge, is apparently qualifiers are going on right now. I just found out about that. Not that they've really talked about it, but I mean, if you want more tournaments in this format and you want more high level competition, team challenge.
That's true.
Go for it.
That does exist. But
yes.
Yeah,
the pricing is great.
I will say, yes, the fact that you actually get playmats, if you do halfway decent, you don't even have to do amazing. You will get a playmat.
If you win your team challenge tournament and you qualify, you get a playmat. Well, I actually don't know if this is different than when we played in it. But you get a playmat, and then in summer 21 for the team challenge that I was a part of, and I was on my team store thing. We didn't even win the first round, and I still got half a booster box of the latest set, which in my opinion is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've heard stories about certain stores not giving out.
Yeah, there's different rules about stores, and stores have their own rules about how much packs they want to give and stuff. My store, thankfully, was very gracious, and they were like, you could just have it.
Yeah, so, but point being, you don't always even get the playmat when you pay $70 for your regional entry, apparently.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Team challenge seems better than a regional.
But point being, I think at this point now, you might be wondering, okay, what... leading up to the next format, the Silver Tempest format, where the first big tournament is going to be LAIC on the 25th of November. What decks, do Jake and I think are going to hold water, I guess? And what decks, once that set comes out, might see a hit? Now, this is not our, we haven't gone through the whole set. We haven't really done a deep dive, but...
Remember, I've been tired working.
But, I have a couple of thoughts.
You have a couple? I have one.
Okay,
I have one thought. I have just, I'm waiting more for when the set actually comes out and stuff like that to do more of an analysis of what's good, what's not, just because I don't have all the time in the world right now. But I have on Twitter, because I do Twitter as a job almost, I have seen a lot of people hype up Regidrago.
Yeah.
Regidrago V-Star. A lot of people think that Regidrago is going to be good. I've seen several different lists of Regidrago and all of, so many different archetypes and different builds that can go along with it. So that, in my opinion, is probably going to be one of the better decks that come out of this. And I think it's going to have an impact. It might not be the biggest impact or it might not be the best deck in the format. But I mean, I think it's going to make some noise. It's going to be like Kyurem almost, where it's it's pretty good.
Yeah, people are hyped about it because it's basically the return of Mewtwo and Mew GX, which
yes,
for those of you who are newer to the game or don't remember that card, it lets you copy the attacks of other types of Pokemon, basically. And for Regidrago, it's letting you copy the attacks of Dragon Pokemon in your discard. And it does not specify V or non-V or whatever, which is actually kind of exciting because there's some cool Dragonites, basically, that are not Vs or V-Stars or whatever that like actually have some pretty good attacks.
You would never play them because they're like stage 2s,
right?
But in like one, I mean, it's the same thing with Mewtwo and Mewtwo Union, right? Nobody ever used Macargo GX until Henry Brand used it in One Worlds.
Yes, exactly. So I think this will be a really cool format. I also think, you know, if you are thinking about playing that and you are a full art, like if you like to bling out your decks, check on the price of Gardenia's Vigor now, because, you know, grass acceleration has not really been a thing, and Gardenia's Vigor is basically just Welder. So for grass, and it can go into any Pokemon. So yeah, Regidrago, it takes 2 grass energy. So definitely, you know, not market advice or anything, but you know, that'll probably go up in price.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that statement of the Gardenias because I mean, Gardenia is also a waifu. So
yeah. So
anyway, Sean, any other decks that you're excited about? I know you were talking about Lugia earlier.
Well, I did. I don't know if Lugia is going to be good because its V-Star ability says you can put any 2 colorless Pokemon from your discard onto your bench. If they don't, if they don't
2
have
Archeops.
Yeah, exactly. If they don't have rule boxes. And I don't love that it's like it really narrows it down to like, well, what colorless Pokemon that aren't rule box Pokemon do I really put in a deck that aren't basics?
Bibarel, right? Chinchino. You go Archeops.
But like it's competing in the colorless slot, right? You are competing with Arceus V-Star for ability for your V-Star thing. And I'm like, but Archeops is good because it's a stage 2 that will get you every single turn crazy energy out of your deck, and like, okay, that I could see that working. But other than that, in terms of existing decks, I keep hearing that Mew VMAX, clearly it just won Lille, and it apparently there's one item card that comes out that will allow you to make sure that you're never subject to Temple of Sinnoh or Power Plant or whatever it may be. It's an item card that lets you use a V-Star ability on that Pokemon.
Okay.
And because Path to the Peak reads the Pokemon, then the item card's ability still activates. Because the ability is on the item card, not on the Pokemon. So you can still use it. And what that ability on the item card does is it says you can go get any 1 card out of your deck. It's like a mini Arceus V-Star.
This sounds like Will Post did a lot of explaining on Twitter about the ruling of this card. If I had to take it, I haven't looked at Will Post's Twitter lately, but if I had to take a guess, I bet he did a very in-depth explanation on what the ruling of this card is, if we know about this card already.
Yeah, so Mew is one of those decks that clearly it's like just a really strong deck. I don't think it gets any worse. There's 0 dark support in the next set. So unless people start running Drapion V again, Mew's in a good spot to like still be a good deck. The one deck I think might take a little bit of a hit is Palkia, because there is a Regieleki. Speaking of the other Reggie, there's a Regieleki deck coming out that looks interesting, and it will boost the viability of Vikavolt V. So like you might see Shock Lock coming back a little bit, like Item Lock Electric a little bit. So we'll see if the format allows for that, but like the fact that there will be more support for lightning type Pokemon in the next set makes you a little bit more wary with Palkia. But that's all I've got to offer in addition.
And you know what? When those cards come out as we get closer to the release and we see the set lists and stuff, we will keep you in the know here on the Metapod podcast. Sometimes we talk about sports. Sometimes most of the time, we talk about Pokemon trading cards. So have a great rest of the day. We hope to see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.